I'm not going to say anything so it doesn't jinx it. Okay. For those of you at home, we are on slide 5. Your slide 5 might be a little different, but it's the chapter 1 Secrets of Stonehenge slide. First of all, we're working with pages 6 through 11. If you're also at home and you don't have the book, it's actually on Epic, and you can use that too. All right, so this has a ton of pictures in it, as you see. Lots of pictures. So we are going to pause quite a bit. We're going to see how much we can retain after reading because there's a lot of info. Nonfiction books have a lot of information, have a lot of times, have a lot of dates, have a lot of names and places. So they're harder to remember. So we might stop a little bit more in the beginning, unlike how we did with our fiction books in the past where we could go like pages, if not chapters, before we actually stopped, okay? So just be aware of that. All right, the secrets of Stonehenge. And I think this is so clever. Look, here's a picture of Stonehenge right here. And each chapter, they highlight a new stone on Stonehenge to represent the number. That's just cute. All right, there's a picture to the left-hand side. Let's look at it. What does it look like?
The person has all that dirt in the wheelbarrow.
Where? Are you on page 6, Luke?
It's I was on page 49.
Yeah, let's do 6, please. Yes, Izzy.
This reminds me of like the movie Brave.
Yeah. Love it. So we're looking at medieval time period, possibly. We already know from our context video that the Neolithic time period was way before that. But this picture reminds me of that. Look at this little man on a horse. That reminds me of that. For those of you at home, Izzy said something about it looking kind of like the movie Brave. I would agree with you. What did you have to say, Colin, about it? Ooh, like an ancient ritual. We do see a little man on this side, too, entering in, possibly. What do you think, Blaine? Of who? Mulan or Merlin?
Mulan. It's a movie where...
Yes, I know. The Asian... Yes. Okay. Merlin or Mulan? Clarify.
All I know how to say is Mulan.
Okay. It reminds me of Merlin, too. Have y'all heard of the magician Merlin?
Merlin the magician. I don't know.
Merlin the magician. So it's medieval. Definitely medieval. Definitely from Europe because we're going to find out it is in Europe in the next sentence, okay? Up here, can we read the text? No, it's not in something that we recognize, but it looks fancy. All right, now let's look at the chapter. The Secret of Stonehenge. Starting with the word Stonehenge. Follow along on your book because y'all can't see this, I know for a fact. Yeah. That one is preserved, yeah. We'll talk about it. And we're going to read the caption in a minute, okay? All right. Stonehenge, near Salisbury, England, or Salisbury, England. It is a typical September day in western England. We had heavy rain yesterday, and the sky is still slate gray. But when the clouds break, there are sudden moments of clear sunlight. I keep noticing the changing light because I'm dashing to stay out of the way of a Japanese film crew. They're following the archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson. He's the one that helped write this book. As he leads them around Stonehenge, the mysterious circle of stones that was built in Salisbury Plains 4,500 years ago and is now a World Heritage Site. See map on pages 10 through 11. We're going to do that. Turn to 10 through 11. I'm going to get my book too just so I can actually read it. So this is the site, the entire site of Stonehenge, okay?
Where does it end at?
It doesn't really end. I'll explain it to you. It doesn't really end anywhere. Okay, so we've got a lot more than just Stonehenge. This says a bird's eye view, okay? So we've got, let's find Stonehenge right here. Everybody only associates this with Stonehenge. That's a tiny part of it, right? They call this a complex. So whenever they call it the complex, that's what they mean. Yes, exactly. So this is Stonehenge, and then these small lines are roads or avenues. We see avenue, and then we see the river Avon. This river goes from the very top to the very bottom of this bird's eye view map. And the Avon, the road from Stonehenge, connects to the river. So let's flow downriver. Look on the left-hand side of the river. And then we see the southern circle, Durrington Walls and Woodhenge. There's another small Avon connecting those to the river also. We see something called a long barrow and a cursus. We don't know what that is yet, but we're going to see later. But we also see Blue Stonehenge. It's connecting right where the river and the avenue meet up at the top of Stonehenge. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Yes. There's another little tiny circle he's talking about here. Look to the left of the river, too. There's a lot of small circles. You're right. We don't know yet, but we're going to find out. There's also a lot of smaller circles around the Woodhenge circle, for sure. Good eye, Colin. So, a ton. There's a lot of unmarked ones, too. All right, let's read what's in the caption box, okay? Until recently, people who studied Stonehenge looked only at the stone circle itself, like I said. That's usually what everybody thinks of when they think of Stonehenge, is just that circle. The Riverside team, who Micah Ronson is in charge of, it's an entire group of archaeologists, believes that we need to understand how ancient people used the many sites shown in this map in order to make sense of Stonehenge. Here's a modern artist's idea of what a bird might have seen flying over Stonehenge region circa 1500 BC. Long time ago. The stone circle itself rose up atop a hill. So the stone circle is on top of a hill. A wide avenue, like I said, road, moves straight down from the gentle slope and angled sharply and bent to reach the river Avon. A long, thin rectangle marked off the earth, later called the cursus, ended just before a long barrow burial mound. So there's a burial mound at the cursus in the barrow. Okay. Upriver stood Durrington Walls, a huge circle, earth circle, with several smaller circles, these made out of tall timbers, inside and just outside of the walls. We will visit all of these sites on the following pages. So this is just an overview of what the whole thing looks like, okay? Yes.
Smart how they keep on talking about, like, you'll see this and like a few other pages.
And they'll do that a lot, okay? Let's go ahead and switch back to 7. We're on the second paragraph. Now, I like this. In the front of your book, it tells you that Mark Aronson wrote this book. He's going to speak in first person a lot. So he's the one that's in the first paragraph talking about how he's trying to dodge a Japanese film crew, etc. Okay? So he's going to speak in first person about what's happening, and that's very uncommon for a nonfiction book. So I think that's kind of cool. All right, second paragraph. Somebody went to great effort very long ago to shape these stones and then lift them into place. But unlike the Egyptians, who were raising their great pyramids at the exact same time, the builders did not know how to write. All they left behind was this beautiful circle of stone. So would you consider this to be prehistoric archaeology? Yeah, because it's before writing, right? Very good job. All they left behind was this beautiful circle of stone. And so we walk around it, snapping photos and wonder, what are you telling us, stones? What did you mean to those who put you here? We want the stones to speak. We sense that if we could only understand them, we would be able to reach back in time. We would be in the world of ancient Britain. Let's look at this caption before we change. All right, this picture opposite we looked at in the beginning. Lucas de Hare sketched this picture of Stonehenge in the 1570s, which is medieval time period. The ditch and mound around the edge of the circle are still there. In fact, a bank like this with a ditch next to it is what archaeologists call a henge. So now we know why it's called Stonehenge. Sit up and pay attention, y'all.
There's stones.
There's stones, and there's a hinge around it, which is like a little bit of a ditch around it, basically. Yeah, but the name Stonehenge probably has a different root. Let's see what it might mean. The Old English word for stone and hanging is possibly because the stones seem to be hanging in air. So that's what this picture depicts. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
In my book, I'm reading. She wanted to know like the effect of a
Love it. And I love that. Yesterday in the other class said, why would they call the book If Stones Could Speak? They can't talk. Well, that's what this person just said. We wish we could hear you talk so you could tell us what this is for, okay? Let's go back to our page. You're going to have to, okay, this is going to be tricky. Can y'all handle this? It's in the center. It's center aligned, okay? You have to come up here to the align icon. Align icon. Align. Try to look on my screen. It's tiny.
It's the one named Align.
It says align.
I thought it
I don't just come up with this. Yes, that's what it. Yes. Click down and then it gives you options. It gives you one that says or has like it all on the left-hand side. Do that one. If you can't figure it out, don't panic. Just write in the center of the page and I'll help you edit it later. Yes. Like I said, don't panic if it doesn't work. That's my fault. That's a little technical issue. All right. Pages 6 through 7. I know. I'm so sorry. Let me zoom in for y'all. All right. Basically, this is just the introduction. This is Mike, or I'm sorry, Mark. This is going to get real confusing too because it's Mike and then it's Mark. Yes. Hold on. Let's finish this. Mark is at Stonehenge. Alma? Mark is at Stonehenge. We'll refer to him as Aronson later on more often because of Mike and Mark. That's confusing. Let's talk a lot about the picture, though, because the picture and the caption specifically tells us a lot. So whenever we do that, we're going to put picture dash. Anytime we're referring to a picture and its caption, we're going to make sure that we note that. This is good because in some testing situations, they'll ask you to look at the caption, look at the picture. This is helpful. They do that in science, too. Instead of saying picture, what do they say? Look at the what? In the science tests. Look at the graph. Thank you. Look at the image. Look at the diagram. Same thing. All right. So they say Stonehenge probably means, we're going to put in quotes, hinge means hanging. Hinge means hanging. And most likely most likely means stones are hanging in air. Because these are heavy, heavy stones. They'll tell you approximately how heavy in a little while.
How do they know?
They've tested all of it.
They're scientists.
Yep. So that's probably why it's named that. Oh, the font is interesting. It's supposed to look old in like handwriting.
It's cool.
I was going to do more of a cursive font, but y'all can't read that.
It was cool. I can. You did change mine.
All right. Hanging in air. You guys can go. All right. For those of you who are at home, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go every 2 pages and do exactly what we're doing. Writing and marking it down as is on your slide. Telling us in a little bit more detail, but making sure. I'm going to highlight this. You guys in the classroom can do the same thing. We're going to highlight the picture information. Because this book is mostly picture. I do not mind what color. Any color is fine as long as you and I can both read it. I will tell you that doing a transverse black and white is hard on your eyes, meaning like white font, black background is hard on your eyes. And red and black is hard on your eyes. No. I don't want you to because it's hard for your eyes to process.
What?
Hold on then. Yeah. Okay. So those of you that are at home, I want it to look like this for each page of chapter 1 and so on and so forth, okay? Lucky for us, it worked today to where I could cast and video. So hopefully if this continues, I'll be able to do it daily, okay?